welcome to another video. This video is going to be everything books because I said so, really. In this video I'm gonna just pick up the camera anytime I'm doing anything book related, and yeah, like book shopping, rearranging my bookshelf. We might talk about the books I'm loving at the moment, take you through my book wish list. Just everything book related is going to be in this video. And we're going to start this video off with me rearranging my bookshelf, because at the moment I'm just not liking what it looks like, really. If you watch my like vlogs and stuff, you would have seen that I moved my books from my bookshelf and put them on this. Should I potentially put them back on my bookshelf? Because I don't know if there's actually that much room. We'll go through all the books I have, like a series, all the books I'm reading, like I've read. We'll go through all that, and then we'll see if I want to put them back on my bookshelf or keep them on my, like, this bookshelf that I've got at the moment. But yeah, we'll also go through all the books I've read, because I think that should be interesting. We'll just do a brief, like, go through all the series and the books I've read. So that's what this video is going to be, and I hope you enjoy it. Probably the next, I think, week or so, this video. So yeah, hope you enjoy. So I guess we'll go shelf by shelf. So I've got 9 shelves here. I've kind of like organized it so I've got my more precious, like the ones I love, those books forward, and I put the ones I didn't like as much behind them, because like I said, there's not that much room. First things first, up here we've got my Harry Potter books. Got my little Harry Potter car. You gotta have the trinkets. It's not as fun if you don't have the trinkets. So I've got all 7 of these Harry Potter books. So obviously they will stay together. See, this is so interesting because me moving this is making me realize like what books are behind there. I don't know, maybe doing this as well, I can like take down some of the books that I've read and go on, would I want to reread this? Because there is like a few books on my mind at the moment that I would really love to reread. One of them is Fairy Tale. I don't know, I talk about it all the time. Bodhi's reading that at the moment for another video, which hopefully one day you'll see. But I love that book, and him just talking about it is making me really want to reread it again. So maybe we can also go through the books I want to reread. Then we've got The Serpent and the Wings of the Night, which is my most recent read. Then we've got my ACOTAR series. Then my Throne of Glass series, which I'm currently reading the tandem read, which is book 6 and 7, which is going not the best, but you know. Then I have the Empyrean series, I don't know. Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy series. Then I don't know what the series is called either. The Lightlark series, I guess. You know, I've got 2 hardbacks of this and 1 paperback, and it really triggers me every time I look at it. But they didn't, when I first started reading Lightlark, they didn't have hardcovers, and then when I started Nightbane and Skyshade, they didn't have paperbacks. So love that series though. Then I've got the Hunger Games series, love. And then these are just like the books I love that they're not in series. Well, this one is. And then on this one, more trinkets, I got the Naturals series. Love this series, such a good series. We got the Inheritance Games books. Don't know, see, I'm really bad with the series names. Then we've got a Stephen King book, which I love Stephen King, and Honeybee, which I loved Honeybee. And then we have, on these bottom ones, the Boys of Tommen series, which I only read 2. And then here we have all my Jessa Hastings books. So I have the Magnolia Park series, and then along with those I have Conditions of Will and Time of Your Life, which I thoroughly enjoyed both of them. Then this one I have all my Frida McFadden books, which I have 7 of them. These are more thriller kind of books on this shelf. See, I love a thriller, but like I just never really buy thrillers. I don't know, I need to buy more. So I've got all of them. Love Frida McFadden. Good Girl Complex, A Little Life, and The Wife and the Widow. So this is the first book I ever annotated. So I said I don't annotate a book. I will highlight quotes I like and I'll tab it. But with this book, I heard it makes it a lot easier to understand if you annotate it. And don't come to me for advice about how to annotate. I don't know what I'm doing. This is the first and only book I've ever actually annotated. And it definitely made the experience a lot longer reading it like that. But I would annotate it again. And this is a book I would like to reread, I think. Which, this is the most traumatic book I've ever read in my entire life. And I think I will ever read. But I think it would be a good one to reread. Because when I read it, I took forever to read it. And this was like the first thriller book I read, and I loved it. I've got this duology, The Way I Used to Be and The Way I Am Now. Most recent reads too. Such good books. These are kind of just books I love, but they're not in the series or anything. So we have Everything I Know About Love, which again, great quotes in that. The Notebook. Got The Dry, Nightingale, Just for the Summer, If You Had Been With Me, What We Saw, and Yellowface. I really enjoyed Shatter Me. Mind the dust. Jesus. Sharp Objects and Gone Girl. Not the biggest fans, but they weren't bad. And then Happy Place was alright too. And now these are the books where I'm just like, oh, I want to keep them. But if I didn't, say my house burnt down and they were the books that burnt, I wouldn't be that bummed. Because like some of them were good and some weren't that good. These are my other tall books that are kind of just like there, because not because they were bad or anything, but just because I didn't really have anywhere else to put them. So I have Back from the Dead, that I read when the moon had. This is The Dreamers, The Guilty Party. Then we have A Flicker in the Dark, and then You Like It Darker, which is short stories by Stephen King. So there's those ones. Nothing like particularly bad about them. These are some more books that I read when I was going through my non-fiction phase. So I have 10 Worst Serial Killers, The Neuroscience of Self-Love. I read about Matthew Mitchum, Twists and Turns, which is I think he's a gay swimmer, Australian swimmer. And then I read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck and The Resilience Project, Let Go. Which, very good books. I think more people should read them. Now, these books. I read My Dark Vanessa, which this is one of the books I'm definitely going to have to reread. Then we have The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar and Six More, which is short stories by Roald Dahl. Wasn't the best, but like, you can't really ask for that much more when it's only 220 pages. Everything, which is obviously that movie as well. And this was really good, and that's why I love the movie. Then we have Beautiful World, Where Are You, which, this is my first Sally Rooney book, and look how cool the cover is though, the inside. And I have to say, I was kind of disappointed. I don't think I started off with the best one by her, and she doesn't write with quotation marks, which I hate that so much. Like, sometimes I can get around it because I'm just like, okay, like, the storyline's so good I can get around it, but this one, the storyline just wasn't interested in it. It was really hard to get through this. And funny, actually, because this isn't the original copy of this book I had. When Mac was a puppy, he shit all over it. So, yeah. And then we have The First Time Lauren Paling Died. This one I actually got for $7 from, I think, Book Barn, and it was such a strange, like, book. I've never read a book like it. It was literally about an alligator traveling, and it was a really good, like, read, like, easy read. So that's Carrying Albert Home. So it's literally about an alligator. The Invocations is the same author as House of Hollow. Now, I went through a huge true crime phase where that's all I read, and that was like when I first started reading. It was all non-fiction. I barely ever read anything fiction. So I read The Sitting, which this book was one of the best true crime books I've ever read. It was extremely sad. It was about the disappearance of the Queensland schoolboy Daniel Malcolm. And obviously it's like a sad, confronting kind of book to read, but I feel like it's like important to read those kind of books every now and again. Then I read Murder at Dusk, and then I read Serial Killers, True Stories of the World's Worst Murderers. Then these are some more non-fiction books. I feel like I got so many of these from James, my brother, so. I have Stolen Time, which is the inspiring story of an innocent woman condemned to death. She was sent to jail for something she didn't do. Then we have Snowy in Bali, which is just about the drugs in Bali and like getting him into Bali and blah blah blah. And then we have Journey into Darkness, which is the book after the Mindhunter books, I think. Then Bali 9, so obviously the people that were sent to jail for the drugs. And then Killer Across the Table, which is the same author as Mindhunter ones. Johnny Douglas and Mark Olshaker. And like I said, very into the true crime for a period there. And then these books. I have Verity by Colleen Hoover, which is the one Colleen Hoover book I actually enjoyed and I would potentially one day read again. Colleen Hoover is just a very hit and miss author because I feel like she's a great author to begin with. Or if you don't really have that much time in a day to read or whatever, like whatever your story is. But if you want a book with substance and stuff, I don't really think it's the author for you because her books are so similar and the same plot in nearly all her books, which is fine. Sometimes that's needed. Sometimes that's what I want, a book that I know what the plot's going to be. But they just became like really predictable. But this one wasn't predictable and I really enjoyed it. Then One of Us is Lying, which is obviously a show. Butcher and Blackbird, which is a series, but I honestly don't think I would continue it. It's like a dark romance, like serial killer lovers and like, yeah, just not what the type of book I really enjoy. Survivors by Jane Harper. Definitely out of her books, wouldn't read this one again. Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which is a Japanese like story. I'm pretty sure it's like a series, but I only read this one and it was pretty good. Then The Midnight Library, which she's in a library on her last day of birth. Not really the greatest. Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood, which is the only Ali Hazelwood book I've read. Elsewhere by Gabriel Zevin, which is really good, about aging backwards, like when you get to heaven. Novel Love Story by Ashley Polston, which is pretty good. And by Adam Silvera, The Both Die at the End. And Adam Silvera again, History Is All You Left Me, which I think this is a series, or this one is. One of them's a series. Then The Beekeeper of Aleppo, which... wow, I actually highlighted a few quotes. Then we have The Dictionary of Lost Words. Would not recommend. I did not really enjoy it that much at all. I Am Malala, which obviously is another non-fiction book, true story, about the girl that got shot in the head, and then she's like fighting for education for women. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is one of the only books by her I've read, but I really would love to read Atmosphere by her. Powerless, which if I could go back in time I would definitely give this a different rating, which I can obviously, but it just is such a copy and paste book to Hunger Games and another book. It's just such copy and paste, and it infuriates me that more people aren't seeing that and getting upset by it, because I don't think it's as good as a lot of people are making it out. Flawless by Elsie Silver, which is a cowboy romance, which I'm not going to be continuing the series. I really struggled to read this. I did not enjoy myself really at all. It's just not my kind of book, and that's completely fine. Tomorrow, which is about gamers. Not just about that, obviously. I was bummed by this because it's 5-star for so many people. I think I did not rate it that high. Then It Starts With Us, which is the second book to It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. And Ugly Love, and then another one of these, which is The Killer's Shadow, the FBI's hunt for a white supremacist serial killer. So that's my bookshelf now. So this is all my books now. I'm gonna count them, because what is it, how many is it to have a library? I definitely don't have enough to be classified as a library. I don't know. but I have my own little library. I'm just gonna count them. I'm just like curious. Surely it's 100. No, maybe not. Like maybe like 80. That's my prediction. I don't know. I feel like I have a lot less than I thought, because when I first started reading, I just borrowed a lot of books from people, so. I just reorganized my bookshelf. I think I like it. I kind of tried to do, I had to layer it again because I've got too many books. I tried to do it again, like kind of genreized, so I put majority of my fantasy together, and they're at the top like shelves because they're my favorite, thriller and like romances and stuff. So this is what it looks like. So see, I've got my fantasy like Harry Potter, ACOTAR, Fourth Wing, blah blah blah, Throne of Glass, which I stacked it this way because I have more books and I think it'll fit better that way. Hunger Games, just random thriller kind of books. Them, Once Upon a Broken Heart. This is more like thriller kind of, I guess, like mystery kind of section. And then my romance. I didn't put any of my really true crime kind of books. I still need to put that up though. I didn't put them because, well, one, I don't really, oh my god, that was really close. One, I don't really have that much room, and two, I just feel like they're not really kind of books to put on my bookshelf. I might find a specific place for them. I have altogether 131 books, which is way more than I expected. I only thought I'd have like 80. So 115 on my bookshelf, and then the ones altogether on my floor, 131. Obviously I have a lot more because I have books on my TBR card, but they're books I've read, which is kind of insane when I think about it. Like, I have a lot more that obviously I've read, but I don't own them because, like I said, I borrowed them. It kind of is making sense why the bookshelf's slowly dwindling in space. Yesterday I started Divergent by Veronica Roth, which is on my August TBR. So yeah, I started yesterday. I'm about 60 pages in, and yeah, I don't really have many thoughts at the moment. This series should be interesting to read because when I read Hunger Games and Harry Potter, I remembered like bits and bobs from both, but nothing like I didn't remember it all, and I was like constantly surprised. And I do think, especially Harry Potter, was like quite different, the books to the movies. So I'm curious about this because I feel like out of each of those movie franchises, I definitely remember Divergent the most. Divergent specifically though, don't really remember Insurgent and Allegiant that much. Yeah, Divergent, I feel like I remember it very vividly, so I'm intrigued to see how much is different in the book. Then we can watch the movie, I guess. But yeah, I'm gonna read this now, probably for a while, a couple of hours, and see how far in I get. I would love to read this like relatively quickly. I'd come on here and we could write a wish list for the books I want to buy and read, or just like, yeah, just books I would love to read. It doesn't have to be this year or whatever, because I'm sure there's a lot, but I thought we could write a list together, go through my bookshelf and like see what books I need to continue the series, or see like the similar authors, like authors that I love their books and I want to read more of. Go through my cart and see what books are on there and what books I need to continue on with after them. I thought this would be interesting because there's a lot of books at the moment I want to read, and I haven't updated my wish list in such a long time. Like, I just don't keep track of that. On my list at the moment for books I would love to read, so it's kind of hard because some of the books I want to read aren't very common in Australia, and you have to order them from like, say, Amazon or somewhere else. But that just means they're more expensive, and I really don't have the bank account to afford normal books. I actually remembered, obviously I have a reading journal, And at the beginning of the year in my reading journal, I wrote like 25 books I want to read in 2025. So we'll go through this, and I'll also tell you what else I need to read, obviously. So this year so far, out of the 25 books I want to read in 2025, I've read 15, which it's not that bad, honestly. It's the first year I've ever done this, so pretty impressed with myself. So I've read Onyx Storm, Keeping 13, Butcher and Blackbird, Spark of the Everflame, The Nightingale, The Natural Series, The Inheritance Games, Happy Place, The Teacher, You Like It Darker, When the Moon Hatched, The Survivors, Shadow Me, If He Had Been With Me, and Never Lie. And obviously The Natural Series and The Inheritance Games, they're both series. So really I've read more than 10. But left on it, I thought I could... Oh wait, I've also read The Serpent Wings of the Night now, so I can tick that off as well. So I've read 16. So I thought I would go through the rest, and then I can add them to my list as well. I have on it the Throne of Glass series, which I'm currently reading number 6 and 7. So I definitely think I will have that done by the end of the year. I'm praying, because like I've been reading it for like a year nearly. So I think I will have that ticked off. But again, that's a series, so it's already more. Then I have Saving Six, which I plan on reading in a video soon. Things We Never Got Over, the Caravel series as well. The Zodiac Academy, a series which I don't particularly think I will get to, because I didn't realize how hard that is to get in Australia. But it's like an 11-book series. That series is insane. But I could get it on Amazon, but like I said, it's more expensive, because I think it's like, I don't know why actually, but yeah, it's more expensive. It's like $30-something per book. Some of them are like $60. So We Were Lies, which I already said I don't think I will want to read. Maybe I could potentially read the other books in that series, but I'm not sure. Love and Other Words, Redeeming 6, and Taming 7. So realistically, do I think I'm going to finish it? No, I don't. But I'm glad I got through as many books as I have so far, because like I said, I've never done this before. I am going to add these books to my wish list, and we shall see if I ever get to them. It took so long. I just finished writing like the list of books I really want to read. Obviously I can add to it like when I go to the shops, I see books I really would like to read, but this is my research, and it's a big one. It's a lot, but it's good to have books I want to read and look forward to. Good morning. So this morning I actually finished Divergent by Veronica Roth. So now I'm going to be writing my book review and stamping my book. Now, okay, so I stamp every book I read, and that might be controversial to some people, because some people only stamp books that they absolutely devoured or loved, but I pretty much do stamp all my books. Like, I don't see why not. They're my books. I'm going to stamp them. I don't plan on getting rid of them anytime soon, so why not stamp them? But I'm going to write my review, so I put my rating, how many pages, the author, the storyline, and then my thoughts. So for Divergent, I ended up rating it a 4.25, which is a pretty good rating. Compared to Hunger Games, which I would say it's like kind of similar realm, do you know what I mean? Like similar type of book. Not saying the storyline is similar, but it's just a similar type of book. I would definitely say at this point I way prefer Hunger Games. I've only read one book, but I just preferred the first Hunger Games, but that could change very quickly, because I don't really remember the other two Divergent movies that well, but I feel like this one I remember quite well. And I will say about this book, the things that were different in this book, I wouldn't say were necessarily what I would expect to be different, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it. If you've seen Divergent, in Divergent, the main girl Tris, she ends up befriending like 3 people when they all transfer to Dauntless. Will, Al, and Christina. And now her and Christina are like really close in the movie and like they're definitely the best of friends. But in the book, I don't know, there was just like hidden resentment. I feel like Christina was very brutal sometimes with the things that she was saying to Tris and stuff. But in the movie, that's not how it really pans out. And also in the book, Al, like in the movie, he ends up doing something and betraying Tris and stuff, but they're like best friends. But in the book, he's like really in love with her, and I just don't know why. I just was not expecting those to be like different, like the changes. And obviously it could be my fault too, but I've seen the movie, so I'm imagining those characters when I'm reading it. And it's so weird to think that Theo James is 4 in the movies, and he's meant to be 18 in the books. He does not look 18 in the movies, I'm sorry. Not even a chance. And she's only meant to be 16. No way. Mum took me to an op shop and I picked out a few books, so I thought I'd show you considering it's a book video. So I ended up picking up 4 books. Never heard of any of these books. I purely got them based off the blurb, so I'll show you what I got. 3 of them are like thrillers and one's dystopian. So the dystopian one I got was Children of Eden by Joey Graceffa. I don't really know. Rowan is a second child in a world where population control measures make her an outlaw marked for death. She can never go to school, make friends, or get the eye implants that will mark her as a true member of Eden. Outside of Eden, Earth is poisoned and dead. All animals and most plants have been destroyed by a man-made catastrophe. Long ago, the brilliant scientist Aaron Albaz saved a pocket of civilization by designing the Eco-Panopticon, a massive computer program that hijacked all global technology and put it to use, preserving the last vestiges of mankind. Humans will wait for thousands of years in Eden until the Eco-Pan heals the world. As an illegal second child, Rowan has been hidden away from the ruthless center government in her family's compound for 16 years. Now desperate to see the world, she recklessly escapes for what she swears will be only one night of adventure. Though she finds an exotic world and even a friend, that night leads to tragedy. Soon Rowan becomes a renegade on the run. I saw this sounded quite interesting. It's a shorter book, it's under 300 pages. Then the next book I got was The Couple Next Door. This is a thriller, I believe, and it sounded really good. It says, your neighbor told you that she didn't want your 6-month-old daughter at the dinner party. Nothing personal, she just couldn't stand her crying. Your husband said it would be fine. After all, you only live next door. You'll have the baby monitor and you'll take it in turns to her back every half hour. Your daughter was sleeping when you checked on her last, but now as you race up the stairs in your deathly quiet house, your worst fears realize she's gone. You've never had to call the police before, but now they're in your home and who knows what they'll find there. It's giving Frida McFadden, honestly. 344 pages. The next book I picked up, it looks intimidating, honestly. It's called The Sleeping Beauty Killer. I don't know really why I picked this. It just sounded quite good. This is only 301 pages. Did I get the 3rd book? I think this is the 3rd book in a series. I wonder if I can read it anyway, because it says the thrilling third installment in the Under Suspicion series from #1 New York Times bestselling author. But it says, Casey Carter was convicted of murdering her fiancé 15 years ago, but Casey has always claimed she's innocent, and although she was charged and served out her sentence in prison, she's still living under suspicion. She hears whispers at the grocery store, she can't get a job, even her own mother treats her like she's guilty. Her story attracts the attention of Laurie Moran and the Under Suspicion news team. It's Casey's last chance to finally clear her name, and Laurie pledges to exonerate her. Now Laurie must face an egomaniacal new co-host, a relentless gossip columnist who seems to have all the dirt in Casey's long-standing bad reputation to once and for all prove Casey's innocence, that it is if she is innocent. I feel like this might be in a series. I'm going to find out if this is in a series. I'll get back to you. And then the final book I got was The Maid by Nita Prose. This one sounded really good. I think I'm most excited about this one. 340 pages, nice and easy. Molly the maid is all alone in the world and nobody. She's used to being invisible in her job at the Regency Grand Hotel, pumping pillows and wiping away the grime, dust and secrets of the guests passing through. She's just a maid. Why should anyone take notice? But Molly is thrown into the spotlight when she discovers an infamous guest, Mr. Black, very dead in his bed. This isn't a mess that can be easily cleaned up, and as Molly becomes embroiled in the hunt for the truth, following the clues whispering in the hallways, she discovers a power she never knew was there. She's just a maid, but what can she see that others overlook? So I just looked it up, and it says that this book is from a series called the Under Suspicion series, but it said you can read this book as a standalone, so that's great. It just said it has like crossover characters and like stuff like that. But they're the 4 books I got, so it's good die for me. I've never heard of any of these authors, so try some new authors, try some new books. Especially, it's fun to go to op shops because you often find books you've never seen before, because obviously they're not really selling them at your local bookshops or Kmart or anything like that anymore. So I only have 7 books that I would like to reread at the moment. I will probably add to this list over time because, well, these are just the ones that come to mind, and I looked through my bookshelf and I was like, yeah. So the first one is When the Moon Hatched. The next book is Fairy Tale by Stephen King, which, again, I know it's annoying.
It was a 6-star read for me, but that was like when one of the first years I was reading again. So I'm like curious if I'll go back and enjoy it as much as I did, or enjoy it more, because when I did rate it originally, I rated it a 5, and then I came back to it a few months later because I couldn't stop thinking about it. So that, to me, that means it's a 6-star if I can't stop thinking about it. Next one is The Wife and the Widow, which was probably one of my first thrillers I've read. I do think about it a lot. The next one is A Little Life, which I did say I annotated it, and I think I would read it a lot easier this time and quicker, because last time I was annotating and stopping a lot, and it is really confronting and a heavy storyline. The next one is A Notebook, because that was also one of my first ever 6-star reads, and I loved The Notebook. And then I have My Dark Vanessa. And the final one is Yellow Face, which that was really good. I rated it, I think, a 4.5. I think if I read it again, I would enjoy it even more. They're the books at the moment on my want to reread list. The clips I videoed, it was because me and Brady went to a few bookshops and we went to Book Barn just to have a little wander and see what books we could find, because he promised me he'd buy me a book, and I was going to make him do that because you promised me that. I'm gonna take it. Okay, I picked this book. I picked Glow of the Everflame, which is the second book in this series, and I read the first one a few months ago and I really enjoyed it. I think I rated it a 4.5. So I really want to get back into this world and hopefully I enjoy it. I've just printed out, so I have this book jar and it's got all the books on my TBR cart, and every month I pick 3 out. So I'll just randomly pick it out, and that's the book I will be putting on my TBR cart. So I needed to update it because I didn't have a lot of them in here, and I've got new books, so I needed to put them in. So I just did that, and I also printed the books I've read for my reading journal because I already know what I'll have done by the end of the month, so I thought I'd just print it all out. Dust motes dance and gold. My reading journal now. So first, gotta see if I've read any of the 25 books I want to read in 2025. And I did. This month I read Serpent and the Wings of the Night, so I'll just tick that off. No other ones this month, but that's a good sign. And then we have Alphabet Reading Challenge, so I just write down any books that start with those letters. I don't think I had any. Divergent I can put for D. So just Divergent, but that's better than the other previous months. Now I need to update my book log where I write down all the books. I haven't written this for so long. I need to update it so bad. Then we have Bookish Bingo. So let's see if I've already had any of these I've ticked off. Can tick off. Okay, I've done a reread this month, so I can cross that off. Dual POV. Where I am now is a dual POV because it had chapters from both of the main characters, so I can cross that off. Everyone has read it but you. Oh, I could have done that the other month because I read Hunger Games, so I'll do that. Then I have to glue down my monthly favourite for August, and my monthly favourite this month was The Serpent and the Wings of the Night, which I rated a 5-star. Absolutely loved it. And then I have to highlight what book I'm up to. So I'm up to book 50, I believe. Or I'll highlight up to... I won't highlight 51, or I'll highlight up to 50. And then, yeah, just... every month I start out like this. So my August TBR, which I had 6 books on there, and out of the 6 I ended up reading 4 of them, which is pretty good for me. And then what I do is I glue down all the books I did end up reading, and then I put a page for any quotes that I highlighted that month, which should have only been from, actually it would have been these 2 books. I would have highlighted some quotes. So I'm just going to do all this now. Another book haul for you, because today Bodhi and I'll show you my reading journal in a minute, but today me and Bodhi went to the op shop and we decided we'd pick a book for each of us. So he'd pick me a book and I'd pick him a book, and you know me, like, I found other books I wanted, so I bought them, and they were $2 from the op shop. So, but I ended up picking him Bloodline. I can't remember who it was by, I can put a picture, because I read Serpent and Wings of Night, and that was the first vampire book I'd ever read. And when I told him about it, he's like, oh, I'd really like to read that, and I'd really like to read a vampire book. And Bloodline is about vampires, and it's also got like a war aspect, and he's interested in that kind of thing. So I was like, oh, he would really enjoy that. So I picked that for him, and he picked me The Recruit by Robert Muchamore. And it says, a terrorist doesn't let strangers into her flat because they might be undercover police or intelligence agents, but her children bring their mates home and they run all over the place. The terrorist doesn't know that one of these kids has bugged every room in her house, made copies of all her computer files and stolen her address book. The kids work for Cherub. Cherub agents aren't aged between 10 and 17. Sorry, they are aged between 10 and 17. They live in the real world, slipping under adult radar and getting information that sends criminals and terrorists to jail. And I'm very intrigued to read it because it doesn't sound like a book I really ever read before. And then these 2 books I picked myself. So I picked Magpie by Elizabeth Day. When Marissa meets Jake, everything falls into place, but their new lodger Kate arrives. Something isn't right about her. It's the way she looks at Jake, keeps her toothbrush right next to theirs, and constantly asks questions about the baby they're trying for. Or maybe it's all in Marissa's head. That's what Jake thinks, and she trusts him, doesn't she? But Marissa knows something is wrong, and she's determined to find out why, even if it costs her everything. And it just sounds like a good old thriller. And the final book I got is called I Kill by Giorgio Folletti, and it just looks intimidating. It's a bit of a chunky girl too. Over 500 pages, but this one says, a ruthless serial killer stalks the rich and famous. The victims are found horrifically mutilated. Each kill is announced on the city's most popular radio show. For seasoned FBI agent Frank Oderbra, recovering from his wife's death, and police commissioner Nicholas Hula, this will be the most harrowing case of their careers. They must track down an enigmatic killer before he strikes again, but this killer is always one step ahead of their every move. And I've never read, obviously I read thrillers, but I don't really think I've read thrillers with a killer, per se. Like a serial killer. I've only read true crime books with serial killers. So I thought this one would be good, and I can step further into the thriller genre, like in a different way. I'm very excited for each of them, and I just love the op shop because I always find books that I've either never heard of or would have never really wanted to read. Just basically go off the title of the book and then I read the blurb, and I'm usually left very surprised and happy. I'm so sorry if I look awful right now, but I need to come on here and say this because technically it is book related, and it's honestly so funny at this point. But I need to say it to someone. I have no one else to say it to right now, so I need to say it to you. Okay, so at the moment I'm doing a true crime reading vlog where I only read true crime books, right? The reason I stopped reading them as much was because I started watching like a lot of crime shows, for example Criminal Minds, and with Criminal Minds I was watching it at nighttime a lot, and I started having nightmares and I couldn't sleep, and it literally made me scared of the dark. Not particularly because the show was that scary or anything, it's just because it covers some seriously messed up things that were giving me nightmares. Anyway, so for this video I'm reading true crime books, and the majority of them are about serial killers. Well, yeah, and I had the most vivid dream, and it was so scary. I literally had to tell myself it's all a dream, it's all a dream, it's all a dream, because I was so fucking scared because it was here. Okay, so it started, I was in the car and I was coming down like a street I drive down literally like every day because I have to, because that's how I get to the sausage dogs and back from the sausage dogs a lot of the time. and there was just this huge fucking anaconda snake, and it had swallowed a human. And then a few houses down, a person was attached, like their body was stuck in a fence, dead. And then another house had been broken into, and everyone in the house. Then I got a message from my friend saying, have you heard about this? Like, this is happening. I'm gonna be going and staying, like, you know, other house. I hope you can get out soon too. And I was like, what the fuck? And then that's when I was so scared. And that's when I was like, and then I looked it up, and it said there was a person around killing pets and owners. And obviously that's gonna scare me because I have a pet. My whole family has pets. See what I'm saying? Anyway, so then that's when I was like, oh, wake up, Alex, it's only a dream, it's only a dream, it's only a dream. So then I woke up, and then I went back to sleep, and right before I woke up for good this time, I had a final part of the dream, and it was fucking terrifying. I was in my car, I was driving down like another road I always drive down, and I came down the street and I see a hand on the ground. I was like, why is there a hand on the ground? And then I get out of my car, see the hand, it's got a watch on. I'm like, fuck me, it's a human. Next to it was a freaking Burmese, like, dog. And they were covered in, like, leaves and sand. Someone had killed them and hid them. And that was right down the street. And then, get this, I get home. Obviously, I called the police. I get home. I walk in the gate, there's this guy with a hammer and some paper, and I'm like in our driveway because my dad wasn't home and my mum was out, so it was just my siblings, I guess, in their rooms. So I was like, excuse me, like, what are you doing? And he's like so creepy. He's like, he's like, oh, here's the papers. And then he's got this hammer, and he's like, what do you want me to, this tree? I put cameras in this tree. And I was like, no way, buddy. And then he's going to hit me over the head with his hammer, and I wake up. Oh my god. Not only was that dream messed up, but it was so vivid that I can remember like every detail. And now I'm scared to leave my house because, like I said, it was all happening around here. So now I'm scared, but I just wanted to tell someone because I had no one to tell. So thank you for listening. Maybe I should stop reading serial books before I go to bed. So I already had these pages. I will say this, my reading journal is super basic because this year I just really wanted to see if I even liked it. At the beginning of the year I really didn't, but now I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm enjoying it more, but it's super basic. So I just have this, which is the books I picked for my TBR, and like I said, I ended up reading 4 of the 6, which is pretty good. One of them I actually got rid of completely. I didn't want that book anymore. And the other one I already knew I wouldn't get to. And then I put the books I ended up reading. So I just got them and the ratings, and then I've got August quotes. So like, if any of the books I've read had quotes that I highlighted, I write them down. I had this month a couple. So I had... I'll just read them. We can only accept the love we think we deserve. It was like she was the only thing colour to me. Everything else in my life felt so grey. She was worth whatever risk came with trying, and they were all from the way I am now. And something can be great and scary at the same time, you know. Most worthwhile things are. That was from Time of Your Life. So that's what I've got for that. And then what I would have done is my August... Oh, I'm an idiot. I keep doing this. I write down the same month. Stupid. Okay, well, I need to get rid of that. And I'll write September. And then when I've picked my TBR, I'll glue in the pictures of the books I'm reading that month. But I wrote August because I'm an idiot. I meant to write September. I thought I would also come on here and say the genres I'm really enjoying at the moment. At the moment, my favorite genre is definitely fantasy, and it has been for a very long time now, but I'm delving a little bit into like the vampire realm of fantasy. I've only read one book, but that's more than I've read in the past, and I really enjoyed that. So I would love to potentially pick up some other, well, that one's classified as a dark fantasy, so I would love to pick up some more dark fantasy or vampires. And you would have seen, like I said, I got this book, which is about a serial killer. I would love to delve deeper into more books, like more thrillers like that are kind of scary, which is probably bad considering the nightmare I just had from a true crime book. But I would like to delve deeper into that realm. Also read more thrillers, because at the moment the only thriller books I've really read are Freida McFadden, which nothing's wrong with Freida McFadden. I love Freida McFadden's writing, and I will continue to read Freida McFadden because her thrillers are short, for one, and secondly, they're super easy to follow. They, even if you do predict it, like what's going to happen, it's still really interesting and has you hooked. And I love Freida McFadden's writing, but I would love to read other thriller authors. I've also been delving deeper into our kind of generation's like classics. So I read the Hunger Games, I read the Harry Potter books, and now I'm reading Divergent books. And I'm really enjoying going back towards more of my childhood. Not that I've read them in my childhood, but it feels like my childhood. Because they're obviously YA books. I'm enjoying my inner child coming out when I read them. But in saying that, because they are our kind of classic books, I would love to read some actual classics. On my list at the moment, my top one I want to read is Little Women. I'm like desperate to read it. Pride and Prejudice, I would really love to read. Emma, it had Journey to the Center of the Earth, which looked really good too. But I want to read more classics. Now, the author I would love to get more into at the moment, off the top of my head, is Stephen King. When I was writing my wish list, I literally looked up a majority of his backlist, and honestly, I want to read pretty much all of it. I have some classics, like I have Pet Sematary, Dolores Cambridge, I think it's called, or Claiborne, sorry, Christine. Mum has a lot of her books downstairs on the shelf, so I could read literally any of them. But I would love to read some other books from him and get some down the line. He's probably one of my favorite authors. And I've only read a couple of his books, but he really is one of my favorite authors. I just find his writing so interesting. So I'd just give you that little update. It's probably really random. Now you know my inner thoughts. So I'll probably finish this video thinking today. Sorry it hasn't been as many me going out and reading or as many book clips. It's because I'm also filming, like I said, my true crime book vlog.